There is a certain kind of person who walks into a room and changes the temperature of it without saying a single word. You have met this person, maybe at work, maybe inside your own family. Someone insults them and they do not flinch. Someone tries to provoke them and they simply look. They let the silence sit in the air, heavy and unbothered, until the other person starts talking faster, explaining more, filling the gap with noise they never planned to make. And by the end of it, the loud one looks small. The quiet one never lifted a finger. That is not luck. That is not personality. That is a skill. And tonight you are going to learn it. Because here is the uncomfortable truth that nobody teaches you. Most people are not afraid of your anger. They are comfortable with your anger. Your anger tells them exactly who you are and exactly how to move you. What unsettles people, what genuinely gets under their skin, is a person they cannot read. Silence is the only weapon that cannot be used against you. Let me explain why. Every reaction you give is information you hand over for free. Think about what actually happens when somebody provokes you. They say something sharp, something designed to land. And in the 2 seconds that follow, your face moves, your jaw tightens, your voice climbs half a step. Maybe you fire something back, something clever, something cutting. You think you just defended yourself. What you actually did was hand over a map. You told that person exactly where your pressure point is. You showed them the button, and worse, you showed them that the button works. And a person who knows your button will come back to it. Not today, maybe, but in the next meeting, in the next argument, in the moment when you most need to be steady. People rarely remember who won the argument. They remember your face when the argument started. This is the first law of absolute silence. You are not staying quiet because you have nothing to say. You are staying quiet because your reaction is valuable, and you have decided to stop giving it away to people who did not earn it. Now understand the machine you are dealing with. The person who provokes you is not looking for a debate. They are looking for a response. That is the entire transaction. They spend a small amount of effort, one comment, one look, one jab in front of other people, and in exchange they get to watch you lose your balance. It is a cheap purchase for them and an expensive one for you. So what happens when you refuse to sell? Nothing. That is the beautiful part. Absolutely nothing happens. And nothing is the one outcome they were not prepared for. Watch a provoker meet real silence sometime. They repeat themselves. They add explanation nobody asked for. They laugh a little too loudly at their own line. They look around the room, checking the faces of other people, searching for the reaction they were promised and did not receive. Within 30 seconds, they are performing for an audience that has gone quiet, and the discomfort they intended for you has quietly moved across the table and settled on them. You did not win that exchange. You simply refused to enter it. And refusing to enter is a kind of winning that costs you nothing. So how do you actually build this? Because it is easy to nod along right now, sitting calmly wherever you are. It is very different at 11 in the morning when someone says the exact sentence that has been designed over years to make you snap. Start with the pause. 3 seconds. That is the whole technique. When something lands, you do not answer for 3 seconds. You breathe out slowly through your nose, and you count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds sounds like nothing. In a live conversation, 3 seconds is enormous. It is long enough for the other person to feel the gap open. It is long enough for your body to come down off the first wave of heat. And it is long enough for the intelligent part of your brain, the part that goes offline the instant you feel attacked, to come back online and take the wheel. Most of the damage in your life has been done in the first 3 seconds after something happened. Not by the event, by your reaction to it. Master those 3 seconds and you have already changed the story. Next, learn the flat face. This is harder than the pause and it matters more. Your mouth can stay shut while your face screams. The tight jaw, the jump in the eyebrow, the little breath through the nose, the eyes that flick away. People read faces far faster than they read words. And an untrained face will betray you completely while you sit there congratulating yourself for staying quiet. Practice it alone. Look at yourself and let your face do nothing. Soften the jaw. Slow the blink. Keep your eyes on the person, not on the floor, because eyes on the floor read as fear while eyes that stay level read as indifference. And indifference is the thing that truly unsettles people. Anger tells them they matter to you. Silence with a calm face tells them they do not. Then there is the unanswered message. We live in a world that has trained you to reply within minutes. Someone sends a message engineered to pull you in, something passive, something accusing, something that ends with a question mark it never earned. Your thumb is already moving. Put the phone down. Not forever. Not as a punishment. Just long enough that your answer belongs to you and not to the emotion the message created. Read it, leave it, come back in an hour. You will find that half of what you were going to type was never necessary. Most messages that feel urgent are not urgent. They are simply loud. And finally, learn to leave. The most underrated form of silence is physical. Not a slammed door, not a dramatic exit. Just a person who stands up, says one calm sentence, and walks out of a situation that had nothing left to offer them. I am going to step out for a bit. That is the whole sentence. No explanation, no final word. No last shot from the doorway, because that last shot undoes everything you just built. A person who can leave a room calmly is a person who cannot be trapped in one. Now let me show you where this becomes practical, because silence is not only defense. It is leverage. Sit in a meeting sometime and count how many people speak because they have something to say, and how many speak because the quiet made them uncomfortable. You will find the second group is almost everybody. That discomfort is a tool, and almost nobody uses it deliberately. When you are negotiating a salary, name your number and then stop. Do not soften it. Do not add a reason. Do not follow it with a nervous laugh or a sentence beginning with the words, I know that might be. The moment you keep talking after your number, you begin negotiating against yourself, and the other person has not said a word yet. Say the number. Close your mouth. Let the quiet do the work it was always going to do. The same thing applies when someone gives you a vague answer to a direct question. Do not repeat the question. Do not fill in the blank for them. Just wait with your eyes on them and count. People cannot tolerate an unanswered gap for long, and what comes out of them in that gap is usually far closer to the truth than what came out the first time. And when you are being criticized in front of others, resist the instinct to defend yourself in that room. Say, thank you, I will think about that. Then think about it. If they were right, you have gained something. If they were wrong, everyone in that room already knows, and your silence let them notice it without you having to point at it. Now I have to warn you about what happens next, because this is where most people quit. When you first go quiet, it will get worse before it gets better. Psychologists have a name for this. When a behavior that has always been rewarded suddenly stops being rewarded, the behavior does not disappear immediately. It spikes. It gets louder and more desperate right before it dies. So expect the escalation. The person who used to get a reaction from you in one comment will now need 3. They will get sharper, more personal. They may accuse you of being cold, of being arrogant, of thinking you are better than everyone. They may go to other people and describe you in ways you would not recognize. That escalation is not evidence that silence failed. It is the last proof that it worked. They are pressing harder on a button that has stopped functioning. Hold the line through that week and something permanent shifts. They stop trying. Not because they decided to respect you, but because the machinery they used on you no longer produces anything, and people abandon tools that do not work. But now I want to say the part that most videos on this subject leave out, and it is the most important thing here. There is a version of silence that is strength, and there is a version of silence that is cruelty. They look similar from the outside. They are not the same thing. Strength is choosing not to hand your reaction to someone who wanted to destabilize you. It is calm. It is finished. You go quiet and then you go on with your day, and the person can still reach you tomorrow. Cruelty is going quiet in order to make someone suffer. It is the silence you use on your wife for 4 days because she said one wrong thing. It is refusing to speak to a friend who is trying to repair something. It is the punishment that pretends to be composure. That second kind is not power. It is control wearing a nicer suit, and it will hollow out every close relationship you have. The people who love you are not your opponents. They should never be on the receiving end of a technique. So keep this rule. Use silence to protect your balance. Never use it to break somebody else. And there is a second boundary just as important. Silence is not for the moments that require your voice. If somebody is being harmed and you say nothing, that is not composure. If your child needs to hear that you are proud of them and you give them a flat face, you have not taught them strength. You have taught them that they cannot read you, and children who cannot read their parents grow into adults who cannot trust anyone. Real power is not the absence of speech. It is choice. The person you actually want to become is not someone who never speaks. It is someone whose speech means something because it only arrives when they decided it should. So what does this look like in a life 6 months in? You stop explaining yourself. You notice how much of your daily energy went into justifying decisions to people who were never going to approve of them anyway. You stop announcing your plans. You find out that a plan spoken too early loses its pressure, and a plan kept quiet stays alive. You stop defending yourself against every accusation. You learn that some things collapse faster when nobody feeds them, and that the truth has a longer shelf life than gossip does. You start hearing more. This one surprises people. When you are not preparing your next line, you actually hear what is being said, and you begin to notice things in conversations that everybody else misses because everybody else is waiting to talk. And you become difficult to move. Not cold. Not distant. Just steady. The person in the room whose temperature does not change when the room does. That is the real prize here. Not domination. Not making other people small. Anyone can be unpleasant. What is rare and what people quietly build their trust around is a person who does not come apart under pressure. So here is what I want you to do tomorrow. One situation, just one, something small. Somebody says something that pulls at you, and instead of the answer that is already forming in your mouth, you take your 3 seconds. You keep your face still. You let it pass. Notice how it feels in your chest. It will feel like losing. It is not losing. It is the first moment in a long time that your reaction belonged to you and not to them. Then do it again the next day, and the day after that. The loudest person in the room is telling you everything about themselves. The quietest one is telling you nothing, and that is exactly why you cannot stop watching them. Be that person, not because you want to be feared, because you are tired of being managed. Your silence is not empty. It is full of everything you decided not to give away.